This episode is sponsored by the ScareScotland Talent Agency. Hello and welcome back to Film Pro Productivity and Success, the podcast that helps creative people to live a more focused, effective and happy life. My name is Carter Ferguson and this is episode 158, Unleashing Your Exponential Potential, the Power of U Squared, Part 2. Quit trying harder. Quantum leaps cannot be achieved through incremental steps or through more of the same. You've got to shift gears. You have to follow new patterns of thought and action. The rules of what works and what doesn't always change when you are trying to make a move from normal performance to U squared. Stop and think about it. Here's the way it goes. More of the same usually just gives you more of the same. Of course, if that's mainly what you're after, fine. Try a little harder and get a little bigger payoff. Try a lot harder and you can expect a lot better results, right? Sooner or later, you're going to reach the point where you can't try harder. It may be that your spirit flags or that your physical and mental resources are stretched to the limit. And often, well before you come to that set of circumstances, you reach the point of diminishing returns. Trying harder and harder starts producing less and less. Sometimes, in fact, intensifying your efforts produces nothing except bigger problems. As a case in point, go back to the story of the fly. That little insect could have turned away from the window 180 degrees and followed the path of least resistance as it flew to the open door. A quantum leap to freedom. 10 seconds of effortless flight would have produced total success, while hours of frustration and panic spent beating its wings against the glass were destined to end fruitlessly in death on a dusty windowsill. Now, this is not the argument against self-discipline or persistence. Those are true virtues. Over a lifetime, they can make a powerful contribution to success and achievement. They are fundamental to the development of your talents. It's extremely important to apply yourself diligently, and sometimes staying power is what delivers a big win. But ordinarily, you will find that trying harder produces only incremental gains, not quantum leaps. Also keep in mind that trying harder, even a lot harder, sometimes offers little more than a straight path to burnout. Attempting to succeed through more of the same, being resolute and relying on committed effort, can blind you to better pathways. If you want to make a quantum leap, quit thinking about trying harder. More effort isn't the answer. More of the same usually just gives you more of the same. Ignore conventional ways. Get ruthless about trying something different. Ordinarily, we achieve conventional growth because we think along conventional lines. We experience reasonable performance gains because we rely on reasonable approaches. We find ways to make modest improvements in our level of success because we go looking for nothing more. Quantum leaps require you to abandon the status quo. Instead of once again trying what you have always done, maybe with even more intensity and determination, ignore the usual. U squared requires abrupt change in behaviour. Look for a paradoxical move. For example, consider reversing your field. Try being illogical, ricochet. If you're pushing against the wall, open a door and walk through. If you're pushing against the river, try going with the flow. Use finesse instead of effort. You must do something new. The tendency when you stall out or begin to level off in your performance is to go back to the basics and do what you do best. But doing what you do best can be the worst thing that you can do. It really doesn't matter how well you can do something if it's the wrong thing to do. Faith in the familiar sets the trap, and you spring it when you reinvest yourself in what logically seems like it would work because it usually worked in the past. To make a quantum leap, you've got to break out of the rut where you've been running, second guess your routines, overcome the addiction to your old methodologies, set a new pattern. If the things you're doing have quit working, stop doing them. Focus on what works. If you'll just quit what you've been doing instead of doggedly doing it harder, you at least create an opportunity, some space to do something else. Quantum leaps come when you seek the elegant solution. So look for an approach characterized by simplicity, precision, efficiency, neatness. It won't be as complex or time-consuming as your present struggle. Overall, it will be less demanding of your energies and emotions, and it probably will not be familiar to you. U² calls for a fresh perspective, a deft move, a path of less resistance. There is a way you can do more with less. Ricochet. If you're trying to climb over the wall, open a door and walk through. If you're pushing against the river, try going with the flow. Think beyond what common sense would allow. Most of us can be found flying too close to the ground. Too often we don't give ourselves permission to soar. It's time to start focusing on possibilities rather than on limits or obstacles. Making a quantum leap means moving outside your mental boundaries. If you will rethink how you're thinking, you can multiply your performance potential. You must let desires guide you instead of allowing yourself to be boxed in by perceived constraints. Seeking the quantum leap means violating the boundary of the probable. It means achieving well beyond the obvious. So don't limit your desires to what you think you can have. Start going after what you want. This means you must give yourself permission to dream, to risk. You must set yourself free. A 10 to 20% improvement isn't the idea at all. That would represent only incremental gains. That might be an impressive performance in some situations, like if there were unusual obstacles or a very challenging set of circumstances, but while such a goal might be challenging, it would not represent a quantum leap. Instead of an additional 10% or so, a quantum leap produces a dramatic and multiple gain, an exponential increase. Quantum leaps are by definition rather astounding, certainly unconventional. Don't get the idea that anything you can think of is possible, but in some areas of your life, what lies within your reach is enough to stagger the mind. You can double your level of success, triple it. Far beyond that, you can leverage up your performance to the second or third or fourth power or beyond. True, there are limits, but you don't need to worry about them. Your real limits are far beyond your artificial mental boundaries. The real limits won't box you in, but the false one you're carrying around in your mind are a self-imposed prison. So how do you break out of this jail? Through surrender. You have to give up some of your old beliefs and sacrifice some of those sensible thinking patterns. So-called common sense can be a curse that puts a ceiling on how far you reach or how high you can fly. U², the quantum leap strategy, is based on uncommon sense. A 10 to 20% improvement isn't the idea at all. That would only represent incremental gains. Suspend disbelief. Act as if your success is certain. Instead of holding back because you don't have hard proof that you can make a quantum leap, see if you end up with evidence proving that you can't. Just make the jump. Act as if your success is guaranteed and then see which set of ideas you should believe in. Your mindset for the moment might be flawed by doubt and skepticism. The idea of making a quantum leap in your performance, jumping from your present level of achievement to one several stages higher in one bold stroke, is an alien idea. You haven't been trained to think that way. You may have definite reservations about the possibility that you can make such exponential improvement at all, particularly with less effort and in an abbreviated time frame. The experts generally agree, though, that people typically use only about 10% of their true potential. If we accept that argument, and even if there were no other resources outside yourself that you could bring to bear on the situation, you still could do 10 times as well as you've been doing. Your skepticism which you presume is based on rational thinking and on objective assessment of factual data about yourself, is rooted in mental junk. Your doubts are not the product of accurate thinking, but habitual thinking. Years ago, you accepted flawed conclusions as correct, began to live your life as if those warped ideas about your potential were true, and ceased the bold experiment in living that brought you many breakthrough behaviours as a child. Now it's time for you to find that faith you had in yourself before. If you want to be sceptical of some ideas that truly deserve to be called into question, challenge the thoughts and beliefs that have been argued against your taking a quantum leap. Put those old inhibiting ideas to the test by going for it with everything that you've got. For right now, just suspend disbelief. You don't have to be convinced that you can succeed in making a quantum leap, but don't keep on believing those old ideas you've been carrying around in your personal limits. If it'll make it easier, hold off for a while on believing anything at all. Just act like you have complete faith. Merely do what you'd do if you knew you were going to succeed. Behave like you have that total conviction. Doubt is what does the most damage. So don't give it any mental space. Proceed boldly as if it is completely inconceivable that you will experience anything other than a successful quantum leap. If you must doubt something, doubt your limits. Focus on ends rather than means. You don't have to know how you're going to get there, but you need to know where you want to go. It's crucial to have a crystal clear picture of what you want to accomplish. Operate with a sharply defined mental image of the outcome that you seek. Rivet your attention on the spot where you are to land at the end of your quantum leap. Visualize your arrival. When you do that, it's like you magnetize yourself to the ways and means involved in the methodology for getting there. The solutions begin to appear. Answers come to you. If you start worrying about everything that will be involved in getting from here to there, you're bound to bog down in the questions about methodology. People always get hung up on the how-to aspects regarding a quantum leap. Skip it. The answers will come to you. And when they do, you probably will find them to be simple, streamlined solutions. See, a quantum leap is a move you've already prepared to make. You just haven't done it yet. You have potential, the resources are available, the opportunity is there. What has been missing is your decision to go for it. Maybe this will help you to frame the situation a lot better. A quantum leap is something you've been keeping from happening. It's not something you have to struggle to make happen. You don't really force it into existence. You just let it occur. The key is not to get in the way. A quantum leap is the unexpected that comes to you with sudden grace. You can open yourself to such a breakthrough, you can even invite it, but you can't make it happen by struggling harder or insisting on first developing the perfect plan. U squared is achieved through an intuitive, instinctive discovery process based on a sense of direction and action. If you have the answers and the structure and the certainty up front, it's not a quantum leap. The formula does not involve getting everything neatly organised and all the risks eliminated before you make a move. There's an element of hip shooting involved here. Don't count on having all the procedural issues for the journey buttoned down before you begin the trip. You must be willing to tolerate ambiguity, confusion, possibly even chaos for a while, shaping your game plan as you go. Allow some disorder into your life. If you get too concerned with the step-by-step plan of action to be followed, you'll find yourself brooding over the potential problems and roadblocks that could be encountered. For now, all you need is an aiming point and action. A quantum leap, by definition, means moving into uncharted territory with no guide to follow. You personally draw the map as you go. Look at it this way. You're not supposed to be concerned about what happens in the middle of a jump. You're supposed to be thinking about where you're going to land. The key is not to get in the way. And that's where I'm going to end this second episode of U Squared. I hope you're enjoying what you're listening to so far. There should be, I think, at best guess, 2 more episodes of this. This is not my standard episode. If you're listening to this for the first time, a standard episode is a solo show that covers productivity techniques, etc. I just read this book recently and thought it was excellent. It's by Price Pritchett. It's called U Squared. Please go buy a copy. I will put links for you to buy in the show notes. In the next show, I will be continuing U Squared by Price Pritchett. Please do join me on that one. That'll be whatever the title for this one is, Unleashing Your Exponential Potential, The Power of U Squared, Part 3. So tune in next week for that one. In the meantime, take control of your own destiny, keep on shooting, and join me next time for Film Pro Productivity and Success. The music that you can hear right now, folks, is Adventures by Ehimitsu. Thank you very much for that track, mate. You've done a great job. The executive producer for the season is Janet L. Butler of Disruptive Film and Audio Productions Limited. You can view the show notes for this episode on the official website, filmproproductivity.com, and you can follow the official accounts on Twitter at FilmProProdPod or on Facebook at FilmProProductivity. Please do, folks, continue to support the show by subscribing, spreading the word, and leaving an awesome review.